Film fans of YouTube, hello and welcome back to the channel. I am Josh, your movie apprentice, and today I am looking at Challengers, directed by Luca Guadagnino and starring Zendaya, Mike Faist, and Josh O'Connor. This follows tennis buddies Art and Patrick, who both take an interest in the same girl, a tennis pro named Tashi, and the course of the movie follows the three of them going through a weird love triangle polyamorous relationship and the connection between a relationship and the sport of tennis, which according to Tashi is the same thing. Before I get into my review, if you like seeing on the channel, click the like button and subscribe for more video reviews that's coming all the time. But without further ado, let's jump right into this review. So I'm going to start off with saying that I don't think I was as hot on this movie as everyone else was, but I will say that if sexual tension was a movie, this is that movie. This film, the three performers, O'Connor, Faist, and Zendaya, all radiate this chemistry throughout the entire runtime, and even when they are at odds with each other, there is that unquestionable tension between each particular character, and the whole film just sits on that tension, that build up before there is a great release. And the tennis sequences as well are absolutely incredible. This film is bookended by a duel, a match between Art and Patrick at a challenger tournament, which is a lesser tournament for tennis players. And the whole film bookmarks the start of this match and the end of that match and fills that sandwich in between with all their history and backstory. And it is a very compelling watch. Whilst people are going into this expecting a raunchy love triangle film, this is very much a polyamorous couple without being polyamorous. But if you're looking for some hot freeway scenes going into this, I'm sorry for my friends, you are going to be very disappointed, as the whole film, the raunchiness, the tension is what carries the heat of this movie. And that tension carries over onto the tennis court, where the cinematography is absolutely phenomenal. Some of the tricks that take place to tell the story through the form of tennis, it has to be seen to be believed. There are some shots where it's a first person's perspective of the tennis players. There is literally a sequence where your first person perspective is of the tennis ball, and I have no idea how they achieved that. Was it CG? Was it AI? Did they whack a tiny little GoPro onto the ball? Who knows, but it leads to a very high octane motion sickness dream before eventually panning out into some great wides. The long shots during the tennis sequences are really, really good. I can't help but feel that all three performers in this movie dedicated a lot of time to learning how to play tennis and look like they play it professionally, because these are some very intense sequences. However, for all the heat that this movie radiates, how the tension really grips you from start to finish on the incredible tennis sequences, it does distract you a little bit from the fact that as a story, it felt very paper thin to me. All three of the characters are egomaniac assholes, and it's very hard to root for any individual within this. All we really root for is the friendships that have been lost throughout the course of the film's runtime. And I will say that in terms of the characters themselves, outside of playing tennis, there's not really a whole lot we get to know about them. I don't feel like I ever got to the sense of liking any of these characters in particular, and I was more enamored with the tension between all the characters on screen. And for me, that is a big detractor for me, because if I go into a movie, I want to be able to root for a character. I don't feel like I get to know these characters too much at all. This film very much has a Whiplash aspect about it, especially in the final sequence. Anyone that's seen Whiplash, with the ending sequence of the drumming, J.K. Simmons and the drummer understanding each other for a few minutes, that is very much what Challengers does towards the end of the film's runtime. And there is a sense that the film kind of just ends, but it's got a weirdly satisfying ending. You can make your own decision on what happens after the film cuts to black. There's also a constant back and forth jump between the past and the present. Whilst it is easy to follow at times, it is bookmarked quite well in the editing. There are other times where I do lose track. The film cuts back and forth between time regularly throughout the film. It goes from the present day to 13 years ago to 12 years ago to mere hours ago. There were several jumps in time, and at times I did lose track of exactly where in history I was, though I have to really praise the film for its use of foreshadowing, and the foreshadowing moments are really well executed. There are times where the foreshadowing's payoff feels less so, because the film takes ages building up to paying off that foreshadowing. Either you know that foreshadowing is going to be paid off. The film has a habit of doing that. There is also an EDM track in this movie. Now, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy a bit of EDM, and the track used in this is a vibe. They overuse this and slow-mo quite a lot. There are literal scenes where we'll hear this EDM track, it will stop, there'll be 2 lines of dialogue, then it will start again. It's very jarring and really takes me out of the film at regular intervals. When the film falls as silent as a tennis court during a serve, that's where the film shines strongest and allows the performers to really come through with their performances. But there are other times where the EDM track comes in and almost drowns out the acting going on screen. There's literally a scene where you can't hear the dialogue being exchanged between 2 particular characters because of this track playing. It's very stop-start, and by the end of it, I was sick of hearing this track. I can go the rest of my life with never ever hearing that particular track again, because it really dragged it out for me. There are moments where it works really well within the film, and there are other parts where I would have liked the film to have just been silent and letting the film speak for itself without this weird track. I imagine there was a intention of it from Guadagnino in terms of symbology. Probably there's probably a theme of, I don't know, the performances and the words being exchanged not mattering because the EDM track's supposed to be them in the zone. I'm not 100% sure, but that was a big detractor for me. And it is a shame because there is a lot to love in this movie. All 3 performances are brilliant. If I had to say I had a favorite in the movie, I'd probably have to give it to Mike Faist, because I feel like he has a more subdued performance compared to O'Connor and Zendaya, and he has to demonstrate both a confidence but also a vulnerability. He's very hard to read, and there was a great sequence featuring him and O'Connor in a sauna that just radiates both tension and chemistry that is really well done. But all the jumping back and forth through time, the lack of likability for these characters, an overpowering music track that is overused to the point of being absurd. It's really what pulls this movie right down for me. This could have been one of my favorites of the year. There is so much working against it for myself personally. Before I get into my grade, if you like what you're seeing on the channel, click the like button and subscribe for more video reviews that's coming all the time. Without further ado, let's grade this. Challengers is a movie that radiates sexual tension from start to finish. It keeps you gripped for the full 2-hour runtime, and these tennis sequences are absolutely phenomenal, with some unique cinematography that you will have never ever seen before. But the lack of likability with these characters, the paper-thin story beyond the skin-deep level, as well as an over-reliance on a particular track that really drags you out of the film, and some inconsistent cutting back and forth between the past and present, really hold this film back for me in a big way. I'm going to have to say that for me, that Challengers is an okay cup of tea. So Challengers, have you seen it? If you have, them that you thought down in the comments below. Again, you make this far into the video, make sure you've left that like button and subscribe for more reviews that's coming all the time. But until next time, everybody, I am Josh, I have been your Movie Apprentice, and I'll see you all in the next video.